Now, Jalen Hurts is the black Tom Brady. I don't want you to say the black word to be racist crap, okay? Don't go on that shit with me. I marched in civil rights parades.
It's fucking
in
right.
the 60s when I got rocks thrown at me.
Yeah, I believe you.
All right? So I don't want to hear that shit. My mom brought me up in a house full of complete diversity. All right? Okay. So let's get off that. But he is the Tom Brady.
The black Tom Brady.
The black Tom Brady.
TBT.
Yeah, it's like, you know, what's the black guy that plays the new hero they're doing now?
Oh man, now you're
Black Panther.
Black Panther.
Now you're starting.
He's the Black Panther.
Now you're starting to see like a Black Crusader again.
Okay, the Black Panther. Do I have a set of people that just wait on me like I'm a king in this town?
Ah, dude.
Oh my God!
basically,
free tea, free food. The cooks come out and give me shit. But anyway,
They like him so much they just gave him 5% of Sea Island.
Thank you. 5%.
5% owner.
Okay.
That is
like
not.
I own these places when I walk in.
That's
Hey,
a
Chris, what do
complete
you want?
lie.
Got your food ready to go. Your table's in the corner. It's ridiculous.
Welcome to the Slobberknocker Sports Podcast, your hub for all things sports. Now here are your hosts, Dylan and Turner.
All right, welcome into the Slobberknocker Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Leak, joined as always by my buddies Turner and my dad, Big Dog, who is here with us again today to start the podcast. And we are going to start with some Sunday standouts real quick, and we'll go to Detroit, where it looks like the Lions are in some real trouble, boys. They are now 8-3 after starting 5-1. They're just 3-2 their last 5, but the last 2 weeks they took a miracle comeback at home against the Chicago Bears. They barely were able to pull it out. And then this week at home against the Packers on Thanksgiving, lost to Jordan Love in Green Bay, 22-29. Jared Goff, 6 turnovers in the last 2 games. 3 interceptions versus the Bears, 3 fumbles lost versus the Packers. And so two major issues. We talked about it, and I said this is why I don't trust the Lions. Number 1, Jared Goff. Number 2, the defense. So let's start with Jared Goff. Can the Lions ever win a Super Bowl with this guy? I'll say one stat for you guys to keep in mind. The last 3 years he was with the Rams, he had 48 turnovers and 47 starts, 41 interceptions and 7 fumbles. Since coming to the Lions, he's had a resurgence. But still, since 2017, he leads the NFL in turnovers. Can you win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff, which is, I believe, what the Lions are trying to do with this group?
Go ahead, Mr. Leak. That's your boy.
Yeah,
old noodle arm.
Noodle arm
that can throw the ball 100 yards.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Number 1, yes, they can. Number 1. Number 2, most of those sacks the last 2 or 3 weeks have been him not recognizing blindside, A, and B, horrible offensive line play.
That's not true.
Yes.
They have one of the better offensive lines in football.
Not on the far left. When defensive ends go wide on them, they get to him all the time. Granted, he's not as mobile.
He holds onto the ball
He
too
holds
long.
onto the ball too long. But my point is, you give that guy a couple more seconds, you can take 3 of those interceptions away.
All he needs is a couple, 2 more seconds.
1 or 2 more seconds, and he's got the play.
Well, any quarterback with 1 or 2 more seconds.
that's
Give
not
Bryce
true.
Young 2 more seconds. He's a stud.
No, he's not.
He's the MVP.
No, he's not. He's not good at making decisions. Jared knows his stuff.
Jared's not.
They're going to be a wild card team at this point anyway. Go ahead.
No, they're going to win their division.
Well, their division, but they're going to. Okay, my bad. They're not going to be a wild card team. They're going to be out first round.
So you real quick before Turner, you think the Lions with Jared Goff can win a Super Bowl?
I said they can. I don't think they will, but yes, they can.
I mean, I'll make it short. They can't win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff as their quarterback. Their offensive line's top 3 in football. He does hold on to it a little bit too long, but I do agree with Big Papa over here that they will get bounced in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, there's no way they're going past the first round. Real quick, like I said, they have you have to think about their pieces. Preseason, they were rated the number 1 offensive line in football. I know they did have 1 major injury, but they're still a top 5 offensive line. You have 2 really good running backs, a bruiser in Montgomery and a quick, speedy burst back in Gibbs. You've got a top young wide receiver in Amon-Ra St. Brown. You have a top young tight end in Sam Laporta. You have plenty of weapons. And the one issue is Jared Goff.
No,
so
it's not.
It's that's the one offensive issue.
They're collapsing the pocket every time on
No.
him.
Jared Goff turning the ball over is the difference, and he has proved over his career that's who he is. Number 2.
So is Brett Favre.
Is
That
there
makes no
Brett
difference.
Favre threw tons of touchdowns and won a Super Bowl? Not even comparable. You can't
won one Super
compare
Bowl.
anyone to Brett Favre.
go.
Plus, Brett Favre didn't turn the ball over like that. He did have
Oh, God,
no,
that's horrible.
he did because he played so long, not because he
All right.
did so many every year.
right,
Now, last thing, just the defense. That's a big issue for the Lions. They're ranked 24th in points per game allowed, 21st in yards per play. They're 19th in pass rush, 25th in sack rate, 25th in coverage, and they're allowing 70% of red zone trips to end in touchdowns. They got lit up by Justin Fields and Jordan Love. Should they fire their defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn? He's in his third year now, and they've only gotten worse.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were really bad last
were.
year. I would say they've gotten a little bit better, but yeah, I would say at the end of the year, probably you have to look at the defensive coordinator. And I don't know. My guess would be that, yeah, they reconsider at the end of the year. I don't know. They've been, I think, a lot better against the run this year, and
Yeah,
just
they're a little bit better.
horrible against the pass. I know early on they were really good against the run, but I think they struggle getting the pass rush, and yeah, their secondary doesn't hold up very long. So,
No, you don't. Yeah, my bad. They probably will fire him. That's true because they're going to want to improve. But I don't think that's the biggest issue. What's their record right now?
The Lions are 8-3.
They're 8.
Yeah, but they're playing in a very easy division.
doesn't matter. They're 8-3.
No, but they've played a very easy schedule.
All right, let's go to the next.
Okay, real quick. On to the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys win, I believe, their third in a row. They've won 5 out of 6. Now, look, you have to give Mike McCarthy some credit, okay? After the 49ers game where they were embarrassed, he has clearly made some adjustments. They have started to push the ball downfield significantly more. It's opened up a ton more. Dak is playing maybe the best football of his career since that week. I understand they have played subpar competition in the majority of those games, but even against the Eagles, they had a pretty good run there in that game. Against the Eagles, I believe they outgained them by 150 yards and should have won the game. The offense the last 5 weeks, 435 yards a game, first in the NFL. 38.6 points per game, first in the NFL. 6.5 yards per play, first in the NFL in that span. I know we talk about this every week, but is this just a product of a bad schedule, or are they a legit Super Bowl contender? Because Dak sure look like an MVP candidate to me.
Team-wise, they have a Super Bowl team. Mike McCarthy has stepped up. They're playing crappy teams. The only way to determine that is if they win 3 out of the next 4, I call them a Super Bowl team. The problem is they're going to run into 2 juggernauts, which are 49ers and Eagles. This isn't their year for that, I don't think. Even if they beat the Eagles, it isn't their year, and that's going to be the real determining game. As well as in my take later, I'll educate your audience as to what I think about the Cowboys. Go ahead.
oh, that's going to be a
I'm
doozy.
excited for that.
I'll educate
Gotta be a doozy.
I'll educate you.
From doing this
a lot of
podcast
learning
week to
from me.
week, I've realized that in just even the talking heads on ESPN and other places, that it's just every week it's just an overreaction of something going
Yes.
on. Like, it's like I listened to myself from 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. It's like, oh, 49ers are the best team in football. 49ers lose 3 games in a row, and then all of a sudden 49ers look like the best team in football again. It's just, all over the place. There's all kinds of ebbs and flows in the NFL season. The Cowboys, like you said, look really good, beating the hell out of really bad teams. But you can only play who's on your schedule. They'll be tested the next couple weeks, like your dad said. I fully expect them, especially with the way Philly's been playing lately, and I know they're winning these games, winning ugly. Your dad's boy, Jalen Hurts. His
about it.
stats don't look good, but
got a whole
they're
paragraph
finding
on
ways to win games. There was a video actually
Paragraph.
out of him when they made the field goal. He looked like he was put out, that they had to go to overtime. It was funny. Like, these games are ridiculous. He knows that they probably should be losing this game. The games are getting away with.
Right.
I think that the Cowboys will actually beat up on them at home. I just don't know if the Eagles do get home field advantage and the Cowboys do have to go play there. I don't know if they'll be able to beat them in
They're the
Philly.
only team that
The
can't beat
Cowboys
them there.
will beat the Eagles in Dallas when they play in a couple weeks.
I think, and here's the key: the Cowboys might get lucky, and they might end up winning that game, and the 49ers might beat. I think the 49ers are going to beat the Eagles
they're
this
not.
week. I do. The Eagles are due for a loss, and I think
hope
they're going to
they
lose.
do.
If
I
they
hope they
lose
do.
2 in a row, all of a sudden Dallas will be in first place now over
They're not
Philadelphia.
losing more than one more game.
But here's the thing I will say, and I was listening to somebody, or I read something about this earlier, and that's that, yes, the Cowboys beat up on bad teams, but a lot of teams who have won Super Bowls actually have done that. And I think the reason is, if you play a gauntlet of a schedule, like look at Philly's last couple of weeks where they're having to play the Chiefs, and then now they're playing this week, they had to play the Bills, and then they're going to the 49ers and the Cowboys. Look, you see how beat up they're getting. Kelsey had to go out for a little bit. Jalen's been banged up a little bit, right? It's hard to go through. You play these physical teams week in and week in and week in, and now you have to go to the playoffs after beating all these good teams, and you're due for a loss, and you've caught a lot of this luck. It's hard to win, multiple games in a row in the playoffs after that. I do think, like Turner says, home field advantage is a big deal. Last thing real quick on Dallas. Why is Dak Prescott not an MVP candidate? He's second in QBR. He's number 2 in passer rating. The last 5 games, he's played 17 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, averaging 325 yards a game passing. The offense is humming. They've won 4 of the 5 games. Even with the exception of the one series inside the 6-yard line from the Eagles, you could argue he's been the best player or the best quarterback in football the last 5 weeks. Why? If this is any other quarterback, they're an MVP candidate right now. Why is this not getting talked about more? The team is 8-3.
He's not going to get that unless he beats the teams over 500. Then we'll talk.
Yeah, I mean, if he wins the next 2 weeks and puts up those stats, I think he definitely will be in the conversation. I mean, we see that it's so ridiculous. We see Jalen Hurts like at the top of the list, and he's not even even putting up good numbers.
It's a joke.
But they had 2 up there for like
BTB.
8 weeks. So I mean, it's like I said, it's
Right.
just a week in, week out of overreactions, and someone has a good game. But I am with you. I am surprised that he's not higher up on that list. But if they do win another 2 in a row and he's putting up those numbers, he'll be right up there with
They've talked
everybody
about it on
else.
some of the programs. I listened to them all Monday morning on almost every single one as far as network television, and all of them do mention that in the morning on Monday when he wins. However, the reason why they started winning was Mike opened up the offense, but it was that Dak started rolling out of the pocket because Jerry, after the Frisco loss, said Dak needs to use his feet. That's what we pay him for. And that, I think, he probably sat down with them and said, you got to start moving out of the pocket. You can't be stationary. Mike and him talked about it. He's moving. That gives you another option. That's what Jalen Hurts' biggest asset is.
Well, Jalen Hurts is a completely different quarterback.
I'm just saying, he rolls out no matter what. You've got to think about it. Now Dak rolls to the left or the right. He can go either way. At that point, if he ran more, they'd be in business.
Well, I
If he
do
would
agree
actually
with-
run for the first downs and really scare these teams and put his ass on the line and work for that new contract, that's when you'll say he's a Super Bowl MVP. Dallas, I want to do my take later. I want to talk a little bit more about Dallas later.
All right, I do agree that Dak should use his legs more.
The Slobberknocker Sports Podcast is brought to you by The Beard Pen. Feel great, look better. Miller Lite. Great taste, less filling. Miller Lite is absolutely not an official sponsor of this podcast. Yet.
The show's better when I'm better.
Yeah, okay.
When I'm
That's-
better, the show's better.
I mean, it's true, I guess. I mean,
when I'm
there's
here,
a lot of
the show's
truth.
better. And when I'm on my game, the show's way better. Let's go.
Is there
Sometimes
times-
you're not on your game,
I was
though.
about
We got to be
say,
honest.
Is there times when you're not on your game?
No, let's go.
No, he's always on his game.
That's
please.
what I'm saying. I mean, okay. All right. Moving on. Bills and Eagles. That was probably the best game yesterday. Clearly, the Bills gave it away. Right? They were the better team. They outgained the Eagles by 150 yards. It took a 60-yard field goal in the pouring rain that somehow was made by Jake Elliott. But what I want to start with is the officiating. In the first half, Sean Hockley, and I want to mention his name directly.
He's an absolute nightmare.
He's clearly got a bias for the Eagles.
That should be the tag.
And it should be. And in the first half, there were 10 penalties called against the Bills. There was 1 called against the Eagles. And it did not let up as the game went on. There were some pre-snap penalties on the Eagles that were unarguable. Like, they were clear you had to call them because they were pre-snap, like false starts. But there were continuing, like throughout the game, Darius Slay, the cornerback for the Eagles, number 2, was getting away with absolute murder on the outside. He was absolutely just destroying wide receivers, and they were not calling it. There was a huge missed PI in overtime on a second down. There was a call early in the game in which Sean Hockley himself was looking directly at the play. Josh Allen was horse-collared to the ground. They showed the view where it was a clear view that he saw the play. Not only was the flag not thrown for the horse collar, he then threw a penalty for intentional grounding when a wide receiver was within 2 yards of the play. It's out of control. There is clearly, and you guys can debate me on this, I don't care. There is a prerogative in the NFL. Clearly, the NFL had whatever prerogative it was, there was a reason that they wanted the Eagles to win that game. I don't care what you say. That is what you see. You see teams week in and week out where there is a huge penalty discrepancy, and it's inexplainable. It's unexplainable. And it happened again, and it was a huge game for the Bills season, and it cost them the game.
There were a lot more penalties on the Bills. I was watching. I was with you on all of it. I really was in that game because I was like, man, this is weird. There's a lot of no calls. The Eagles always get the benefit of the doubt. But the one call that stuck out, the Bills did get one when they did throw in OT, which was huge, a roughing the passer call. That gave them a first down and moved them basically in the field goal range. It was going to be like 3rd and 7, I think, and they called roughing the passer. And so that was like, but I agree with you. For 90% of the game, it was like there's phantom calls. The Bills aren't getting a fair shake. And then he did throw that one. So I was like, well, I mean, I don't know if they just think that the Eagles – and you know how when Tim Donaghy, the guy or whatever, was throwing games in the NBA, I don't necessarily think that's going on. But I will say that I do think that before the games – they are told, like, hey, look, Buffalo got away with this in the game before, or whatever it may be, and they do officiate to certain things, whatever it may be. But, yeah, I will say that Philly definitely got the majority of the calls, but I was shocked with because roughing the passer, it was probably letter of the law in the NFL, roughing the passer, but I was surprised that they threw it at that point in the game.
I think also the only way I could explain that, if in terms of my narrative, would be Allen sold it really well. Maybe he saw the tail end of it, and it was like, if Allen was hit that bad and he doesn't throw that, it's going to look really bad. But you're right. Like, if he just watched it and threw that, you're right. It was very borderline to be called at that point.
Yeah, 10-1 in the first half is ridiculous. 8 penalties to 1 is ridiculous. What they've said, what I've heard they've said is they have a narrative. The refs do get together. They admit that they do say, and they talk about like things that are happening, like that the Eagles don't hold a lot, so they're not going to call a bunch of holding calls. I think that is the narrative sometimes that they go with. They know what they do wrong and what they don't. The right guard was early on every single snap from the Eagles. They're not calling it.
Right tackle.
But let me say this. Sean McDermott played all of his DBs on the outside and left the middle of the field on the last drive open. Ridiculous. He needs to go. If I'm a Bills fan, I start a website. Get rid of him. He's a defensive coach. He's horrible. You cannot let them go down and do that. That's ridiculous. Didn't even play for Jalen's run. Everybody's on the outside. And Ryan Clark was even pointing it out this morning, saying, like, look, everybody's spread out at the middle of the field. Horrible call. Rex Ryan was saying the same thing. It's ridiculous. But if you sit there and watch the game, he's a horrible defensive coordinator. It's hard to defensive coordinate and coach. It's just like what's his name from the Chargers? Brandon, he needs to go too. But the other thing is this. Josh Allen, 8-9 in close games. Jalen Hurts, 14-2. There's the difference, number one. Number two, the Bills did outplay. The Bills outplayed them times all the way. The receiver miscommunication is why they lost, because they had a very ample opportunity to win that game. One right turn, the game's over. They win the game. So we can say all we want. I agree with the official thing. It was ridiculous. I think they have an agenda based upon, they don't hold a lot. They all talk before, but I don't think it's like necessarily they want the Eagles to win. But the other thing is that Josh did play like a stud, and I had that in my take. I'm almost done. Josh Allen should demand, Go in that office in private and tell that owner, get rid of the coach. Diggs is going to want to go next year to Dallas or somewhere else anyway. Bring in 2 new receivers, 3 new offensive line guys, a couple of star rushing defensive ends, and stay with them or get the hell out of Buffalo. It's like Jim Kelly. You're never going to win there if you don't start right now at the prime of your career. Get out. If I'm Josh Allen, I get that.
Did Jim Kelly lose
hell
3
out
Super
of-
Bowls?
Yes.
4.
Yeah,
4.
I mean, I
2
would
to
call
Dallas
that fairly
and 2.
successful.
What? What?
I mean, he's a loser for not winning the Super Bowl, but I would call him fairly successful.
I don't like
you go
people-
to full
I don't
4
like
straight
people that get
fucking Super
captured.
Bowls.
What?
Yeah.
I don't like people that get captured.
Oh yeah, that
The
sounds
worst
like
quote
you.
in American history.
Yes, yes.
But my point is this. That's the other thing I was going to say. This one, he's not doing his job. He needs to. Kind of got in the hot seat today. Colin said, "Yeah, he's on the hot seat a little bit." No, he's not. If I'm that owner, I'm building a new stadium. I go out and get a damn good coach. I pay the money and I bring him in. You know who they should bring in? Gruden.
They will never because of what
I know.
happened. Yeah, Gruden should have never been fired. That's a whole nother issue.
That
we'll
would,
talk
that
about
would,
that
that would,
later.
that would be a
Bullshit.
good hire.
But
Go get. I know they're not going to get Gruden, but I mean, go get a guy that's a head coach that knows how to deal with allocating the defense,
Look.
moving on. Don't get these coordinators anymore. Look at them all.
3 things.
Brandon, this guy, the guy from the freaking Arizona Cardinals. They're just hiring these buffoons.
no, I agree.
Buffoons.
The carousel.
This
of
guy's
co-
this guy's lost for the last 4 years.
Yeah, okay.
It's a joke.
The coaching carousel is ridiculous. 3 things. Number one, McDermott. No, McDermott's awful. Here's the thing. They fired. Basically, what happened was in Buffalo, Leslie Frazier was the defensive coordinator, and Buffalo was one of the best defenses in football
Yep.
when he was. After the end of the season, basically, Sean McDermott said, "No, I'm taking over the
Yep.
defense," and Leslie Frazier stepped down. Since then, Buffalo's defense has been bad. So since Sean McDermott took over the defensive play calling, the defense has been significantly worse.
Yeah.
Yes, they've had some injuries. Doesn't matter. You've had number 2. You've had 3 games this year. 3 games where you have lost on the final drive because of your defense. Yesterday, it happened twice. You allowed the drive into field goal range, and then you allowed the drive to win the game for a touchdown. So you had 2 shots to stop him. Didn't stop him either time. 2 weeks ago against the Denver Broncos at home, and your defense gets driven on by the most conservative offense in football, and they score a field goal to win the game. And then the worst one of all 4 or 5 weeks ago against Mac Jones. Mac Jones went 75 yards in a minute and scored on your defense. He
He's
should have been
horrible.
fired after that
Yeah,
game
he should
just
have
for
been.
allowing Mac Jones to
Mac
go down
Jones
the
is a
fucking
warrior.
field. Mac Jones is a fucking bum.
I love him.
All right,
Warrior.
No,
last
worst
thing,
quarterback.
real quick, 2 more. You mentioned Diggs leaving. Diggs should be called out after all
He
the
was
bitching.
horrible, yeah.
All the bitching he does. There was he had a
Yep.
massive drop
Massive
on
drop.
the play before Gabe Davis's touchdown, and he dropped the ball, and it would have been a first down. That was it. I know the ball got knocked out. Doesn't matter. You have to make that catch if you're the number 1 guy. You
if-
can't sit there and bitch on the sidelines and then drop the ball there.
If I'm a Bills fan, I literally want to get rid of him. He's a distraction for Josh. Even though you need him, he's not. I guarantee you. Look at number 4 for Baltimore, a rookie. Go get yourself
That guy's Zay Flowers is a stud.
It doesn't matter. What I'm saying is go get yourself a couple of rookies. Take your chances. Get rid of Diggs' contract. Get him out of there. Move him for a second-round pick and maybe another player. Get him out. Pick up some defensive people. Get rid of the coach. If I'm a Bills fan today, I'm screaming at him leaving and getting rid of the coach.
Last thing before, and if Turner wants to add something too, I also think this. I've heard this from multiple people that know like inside the Buffalo Bills organization. Josh Allen is not having fun playing football anymore, and he is not a fan of Sean McDermott. That is a known thing.
Well, the owner knows
So
it.
to me, if you are the owner of the Bills and you know that, which if I know that, you should know that, and you can see it on the field. He doesn't look like he's enjoying it. He looks like he's stressed
Yeah, but
out
he's
there.
losing right now.
Yeah, I understand that, but you got to get rid of that guy. He's awful.
Well, if they miss the playoffs, he's for sure fired at the end of the
Yes.
season. If they make it, he might maybe hold on to his job. But no, I think they need to go in a different direction. I think what I would do if I were them is go get, somewhat of an offensive guru, hopefully, that gets along with Josh Allen, some of that Josh Allen wants
Yep.
there, and worry about putting up 100 points and then just bringing somebody else in. It's a solid defense, but a good defensive coordinator. And you always bring his name up all the time, Mr. Leak, and I can't stand the guy. But Rex Ryan
like him either.
Rex Ryan would be a good guy to actually come in try to create turnovers, whatever, and be your defensive coordinator if you get an offensive-minded head coach.
Right.
And you just let Rex handle everything with the fucking defense. He's not going to – he's at this point, he's a pain in the ass to deal with, but at this point, he'll just manage the defense. I don't think he's out there to take your job anymore. I think he's old and doesn't really care that much. But I would bring in somebody like that, an old head, or hell, bring old Wade Phillips out of retirement, get him up there in Buffalo, and then get him the coach defense.
I love Wade.
He wouldn't.
Well, he's a great defensive coordinator. Last topic, real quick. Denver Broncos started 1-5.
Yeah.
They are now 6-5.
Oh,
They're trying to be real quick trivia question. They're trying to become the 4th team ever to start 1-5 and make the playoffs. I'll give you the first one because you won't get it. The 1970 Cincinnati Bengals. The other 2 happened in the last decade. Can you name the team?
They started what in 5?
Starting 1-5 and making the playoffs. There's 3 teams who have done it. 1970 Bengals and 2 other teams.
Giants.
I'll give you a hint. They both came in the AFC.
Were one of the teams like a Patriots team when Brady was hurt or something? I figured maybe he came back.
The one year Brady was hurt, and they had.
What about the Bengals again? Didn't they have a year where they were bad? Now that I won't come up with it. I got no clue.
You got one?
Hold on. They started 1-5.
I'm gonna give you a hint. I'm gonna
Jets.
give you no. Go.
Oh, one of the fucking stupid Steelers teams started 1-5.
That's good. Yeah, that's a great guess. Though. The Chiefs 2015 with Andy Reid and Alex Smith, and the other one, the Indianapolis Colts of 2018 with Andrew Luck.
He's a dumbass.
Andrew, baby.
That guy's an idiot.
Colonel Andrew
Dearest mother, the war is over. All right.
Real quick, they are my pick. They are the Denver Broncos are going to make the playoffs. Now, then again, we're not looking at their schedules, and so you should post that up there. I don't know. We're talking out our ass. We don't know their schedule.
Man, they probably will make the playoffs, but they're the team that they're hot right now, and it just seems like as soon as they lose one, they might lose 3 in a row
agree.
again. I don't know. I don't think they're going to be like. I don't know.
I
would
see them at mile
honestly
high every
looking at the AFC when they're breaking it down. It's so bad. Some of the other teams that are in the hunt.
That's what I was going to say.
That besides, Dylan was right. Like the Steelers may drop out. Like if they play in the Browns with all the quarterback injuries, shit, who knows if they'll be there. But the Texans are playing pretty good ball right now. You would think that they could maybe squeak into one of those spots, and the Broncos are right there with them, right? Aren't they both 6-5?
So here's the playoff picture for you. The divisional leaders in the AFC are the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Jags, and the Dolphins. Each of those have 3 losses. The wild cards are currently the Steelers and the Browns are each in the 5th and the 6th spots. They're each 7-4.
Browns are in trouble.
They're each 7-4. Currently, the Colts are in the 7th spot at 6-5.
Not gonna happen.
And then right behind them with the same record, Texans are 6-5, Broncos are 6-5, and Bills are 6-6. So you look at it, the Browns and the Steelers probably don't. I would say they're below 50% both to make the playoffs.
Maybe say one of them gets in.
I don't think the Colts are getting in.
The Colts are not going to.
So
make
you got
the
2
playoffs.
spots, and I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be the Texans and the Broncos. I think they're going to get in. I think the Broncos are going to get in. Here's the remaining schedule for the Denver Broncos. These are winnable games. At Houston is a massive game next week.
I think
Whoever wins that,
maybe not.
If the Broncos win that game, they now have the tiebreaker over Houston, and they have the lead by a game.
That's a huge game.
That's a huge game. Then they go. Here's the problem with Denver's schedule: 4 of their last 6 games are on the road, and 3 in a row. So they're at the Texans, at the Chargers, at the Lions, home against New England, home against the Chargers again, at the Raiders. The teams they play, only one of those teams is currently going to make the playoffs if you ended it today. So of their 6 games remaining, only team to make the playoffs would be the Lions, and that's a winnable game.
I'll give them the win against New England now. They're so fucking bad.
They're going to win against New England. I think they're going to get at least one against the Chargers. They're going to beat the Raiders. If they beat the Texans this week, they're going to the playoffs.
Yeah, they will. All
right, moving on.
It's time for Big Brain Shit with Big Dog.
I got my new logo too.
Oh, I can't wait to
So
fucking see that.
when this pops up, I want my logo down there.
Where's your new logo?
It's in my computer.
I got to see it.
All right. Now, Jalen Hurts is the black Tom Brady. I don't want you to say the black word to be racist crap, okay? Don't go on that shit with me. I marched in civil rights parades.
It's fucking
in
right.
the 60s when I got rocks thrown at me.
Yeah, I believe you.
All right? So I don't want to hear that shit. My mom brought me up in a house full of complete diversity. All right? Okay. So let's get off that. But he is the Tom Brady.
The black Tom Brady.
The black Tom Brady.
TBT.
Yeah, it's like, What's the black guy that plays the new hero they're doing now?
Oh man, now you're
Panther?
Black Panther.
Now you're starting.
He's
to
the Black Panther.
Now you're starting to see like a Black Crusader here.
Okay, the Black Panther. He's the Black Panther.
Black power.
Ready? Now watch. He is. He takes control of it. He's calm. He runs the offense. That's my first take. Second take is lose Greg Popovich. This is the NBA. Any other coach in 4 years losing would be cut. Done.
Agreed.
Lose him. It's time. You renewed his contract, get a buyout, move on. Cut the GM of the Spurs. The worst. I go on every sports forum and tell them, they're like, yeah, he's still good. He's horrible. He's horrible. Chris, you don't understand. We really didn't draft well? Oh, my God.
You actually do that because I remember scrolling through Facebook one day and literally on 3 different things.
5 people were
like I wasn't even like trying to read your thing, and it was horrible draft pick, fire GM. That's
Fire
what you
GM.
wrote on every single one.
I actually say fire GM to every single
fire
one
GM.
of them.
Yes,
Fire
yes,
GM.
yes.
Because
It is fire
people
GM.
get all pissed off.
Shitty pick, fire
Shitty
GM.
Fire GM.
Everyone.
Now it's pop.
He like
though.
spams it. They're like, oh, there's just a
And
Chris
they
Lee
all
guy
just
again.
go and I inflame them. They come at me like, what do you mean? The verdict's still out. The verdict's still out. Frank Wright just got fired in 9 games.
11, but yes.
11. What the shit ever. Greg Popovich, 4 years, 1 playoff appearance.
Zero. They haven't made the playoffs in 4 years.
No,
Just a play-in game bullshit.
Playing game.
Playing game.
All right. He needs to go. It's ridiculous, and he should go. He should know better. He's going to ruin his legacy if he stays with this team. And I don't know who they're going to get, and then you got to bring in 2 superstars. Now, my third one. If the Cowboys win out, they're going to the NFC Championship. If they don't, they're out. If they lose 2 games, if they win out, win out.
You know, win the last 6 games in a row. You know how hard that is to do in the NFL?
Doesn't matter. Jalen's 9-1.
Yep,
Is he 10-1 now?
Very, very fortunate.
10-1.
Very fortunate.
Well, okay.
TBT.
I did put down here they could lose 1 game.
The Eagles, real quick.
Let me finish.
No, real quick. The Eagles should have lost game 1 to New England. They should have lost to Dallas.
matter.
They should have lost to Kansas City.
Doesn't
They
matter.
should have lost to
What
the
does your
Bills.
boy
They
Calvin
could
say?
legitimately
Shoulda,
be. They could legitimately be.
Stats match.
100%. They could be a 5-6
you.
football team.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Let's just go if they win. If they lose 1 game, they could still go. Other than that, they're going to be in the same scenario. They're going to play Frisco. They're going to lose.
Well, more than likely, real quick, more than likely, we would actually
And
play.
I said that at the beginning of these podcasts.
More
Go
than
ahead.
likely, if the teams who are supposed
Detroit.
to win, no, we would actually play the Eagles in the second round. We wouldn't play the Niners because
Who
we'll
would
be
play in the first
We'll
round?
be the 5 seed, and if anybody doesn't get upset, we would play the Eagles round 2 because we'll be the highest seed remaining.
All right.
Meaning, if the Lions win and we win, then we would play the Eagles.
All right, next take, I'm almost done. See how quick I get this stuff down, how spicy it gets? And I am the topics that people will trend and want to hear. I can think of shit like that because that's how I think. See, if you think about it, Black Tom Brady, that's a good topic. Okay.
And people will be
Lose
happy to
Greg-
know that you marched and several civil
several
rights movements.
Civil rights movements. All right, Greg Popovich, got to go. That's a hot topic. So I have this way. Eagles-Ravens Super Bowl is my initial pick, but it will.
Your initial pick in Week 11.
Hold on. His initial pick. It's going to be Eagles, KC, Eagles, Lamar. That's it.
You're a big Lamar guy now. You let people know.
I left the Cowboys after 40
Yes.
or 50 years.
No longer a Cowboys
I bought my
fan.
Lamar jersey. I don't love him at all. I think he's
Told
and
me
his
that.
mom-
Told me he wanted a Lamar jersey.
And his
then told
agent-
me that he didn't buy one, so I got him one, and then he bought one the next
His
day.
agent should never be his mom. That stuff doesn't work. That's bullshit, stupidity. Now, number 2, I'm on number 3. Texas Quinn Ewers is a bum. The quarterback for Texas is a bum. He should let him go to the portal transfer. I don't care if they go to the playoffs. Get rid of that guy. Low energy, mood. You can tell it by looking at his. Just look at him at the side. I'm a psychological guru. I can see some guy's face and
You
go,
just look him in the
wrong
eyes and
body
know
language.
he can't do
Wrong. Not the fire. Get that fucking bum off the
He
team.
doesn't have Godzilla
Bring in
balls
Archie,
like
man.
you.
You're gonna lose him. Dylan's argues with me. No, he's staying. He's gonna. You do too. Oh, he's staying. No,
He's gonna stay.
He's
No,
not leaving.
He's gonna go.
Arch Manning's not
Mark
leaving.
my words. Okay, that's it. And lose that coach after next year. Get rid of him. Bring somebody else
Are we
in.
talking about Sarkisian?
Sark's an idiot.
Okay, hold on, real quick.
I'm almost done.
No, I know you're not almost done, but they're never firing Sark. They went from his first year 5-7, his second year 8-4. They're now 11-1.
I know.
He's there basically for the next 5 years, no matter what happens. I'm just telling you what happens.
Cannot head coach an offensive call. He's doing great offensive call coordination. He's a horrible coach. Let's go to the next one. Jim Harbaugh is gone. He's gone.
Disagree.
Oh, gone.
To where? To where?
Raiders. I could see maybe the Chargers. My wife would like to live in California.
Turner, you agree with that?
Gone. 100%.
I wouldn't.
Bam.
I wouldn't be surprised. Did they say that the investigation's over with all that shit, or can he still get?
I think he's done now. I think he's back.
He's gone.
I mean, the thing is, if I would say this is what I would say. If he wins a national championship at Michigan, I think he's more likely to leave than if he doesn't.
Yeah,
He's
probably
gone.
so.
He's gone.
I really
Either
think
way-
if he wins, it's like, all right, we won a championship.
did
I'm
it.
going back to the NFL. I'm
Yeah.
done recruiting.
Yeah.
Either way, he's gone. More's going to come out. Even if he didn't know anything, because that's what coaches say, just please don't tell me anything, but do what you guys want. That's what I say, the Mafia.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Teos Mafia, my company would call us the Teos Mafia, our record label. We would go eat lunch.
That is
for
not
most
a
of-
real thing.
Yeah, it is. That's what they call us. That's how they call us, I swear to gosh. We used to go eat lunch, and they thought we were the Mafia because we're dealing cash at the table all day because of the gigs.
At Formosa?
Yeah, at Formosa. They
There's an
call us the
underground.
Mafia.
There's an underground casino in
Yeah,
Formosa too.
yeah. They would say like, well,
the-
you know,
the
you
the-
guys,
the theory.
you guys gamblers. We're like, no, we're in the record business. And they didn't believe me. Years later, when I went in there, Mike, who I got to know at Formosa Garden, said, "We thought y'all were the Mafia." I go, because y'all called yourselves the Teos Mafia. But we were just joking.
Is Mike the
around.
guy with the glasses at
Yep,
the bar that
that's
sits
right.
there? Yep, I know
My
Mike.
boy Mike.
Mike, shout
Okay.
out Mike. Shout out
Do I not
Formosa
know? Do I
Garden.
have a
Shout out.
set of
Best
people-
lemon chicken in town.
do have good lemon chicken.
Do I have a set of people that just wait on me like I'm a king in this town?
Ah, dude.
Oh my
I mean,
God!
basically-
Free tea, free food. The cooks come out and give me shit. But anyway,
They like him
let
so
me-
much they just gave him 5% of Sea Island.
Thank you. 5%.
5% owner.
Okay.
That is
it's like
not-
I own these places when I walk in.
That's
Hey,
a
Chris, what do
complete
you want?
lie.
Got your food ready to go. Your table's in the corner. It's ridiculous.
That does not happen.
Absolutely. Number two, my last take is this: that the playoffs lineup nowadays is this year, 2023 is pretty predictable. What can you not predict this year? You're going to predict the San Francisco or the Eagles on one side, and you're going to predict the Chiefs because Tua's not doing it, or the Ravens on the other. What's exciting about this year?
Well, I will say this in the
Nothing.
playoffs. Well, I will say this about the playoffs.
I could Kreskin ball that and say,
what?
That's that guy who used to read minds in the 80s. Okay, 70s.
You read minds in the 80s?
In the 70s he did.
He could still do this. Your
He
dad
still-
could read minds.
No, Mike. He was a guy called Kreskin, like the guy at Chris Angel, the guy that plays the satire of Chris.
So he was
Angel.
Chris Angel before Chris Angel, basically.
No, there's a great satire. They make fun of Chris Angel, the guy that's now on Saturday Night
Yeah,
Live.
we've seen that.
2000, 13 is the best thing on YouTube. Bottom line is this: what's unpredictable about this year? There's nothing.
No, it is pretty.
No.
It is because number one,
the quarterback plays
Can I
ruined.
let me talk?
Yeah, go
The only team who has the best record team, I would argue, is not the best team in the league. So yeah, that's number one. The Eagles are very fortunate to be 10-1.
Go ahead.
Number two, you have then 6 teams who have 3 losses. You have 6 teams who are either 8-3 or 9. I'm sorry, 7. 7 teams so there's 8 teams who you could say legitimately could win a Super Bowl. Yes, there are favorites, but I think this is
they're not.
actually, Turner, you tell me if you agree with this. I think this is the most wide open the NFL's been in a long time.
There are not 6 teams that can win the Super Bowl.
There
There's
are
3.
8 teams. There are 8 teams
No,
that
they're
could win the
not.
Super
No,
Bowl.
they're not.
Yes, there is. That's
No.
why the Giants a couple years ago or 10 years ago when they won as the 6th seed,
That was
something like
weird.
that could happen this year because
okay.
there is no
I would agree
domination.
with that. I would say that not that anybody could win it, but I don't think there's anybody that's super dominant.
Right.
I would agree with that. But by the way, I was looking over here, admiring your outfit as always. But you were supposed to buy me a pinky ring, and I still don't have one to wear on the broadcast.
Well, I got to get mine first.
Yes, you got to get a
TCB,
pinky.
my
Yes,
Elvis ring.
yeah, you got to get a pinky ring. I need a pinky ring. Also, for the fans watching, I am gonna come up with a day that I'm gonna go out and try to get my closest Mr. Leak ensemble. I'm gonna have to go somewhere, obviously,
I'll take you out.
and match
My boys will
and
take
match
you
and try to match. I'm definitely gonna wear leopard pants and a giant belt buckle
Yeah.
at some point. I don't know when it's gonna be
I
or
used to
where I'm
ride
gonna.
horses.
I don't know where I'm gonna fucking find it, but I'm gonna show up one day. You're just gonna see when you come in to do it. I'm just gonna be sitting here right next to you.
He shops
All right,
a
it'll
lot.
be the new studio. I'm sure.
He
but-
shops a lot on Shine and Team.
No, I
so
know.
you can
That's why I
find-
buy my jerseys. My clothes are custom made.
This guy's please.
Custom made.
yes.
I got this
all
made in
Italian
Dubai.
custom made.
I got a snakeskin one coming next week. Next week I have a snakeskin jacket that's sitting in the house right now.
Why didn't you wear that this week?
I'm going to wear it tomorrow. Actually,
you got to wait for the new studio day at your studio with the new
break in
set
the
to bring
snakeskin?
the snakeskin.
Now the snakeskin. Okay, real quick. I was going to say something that we have a new set being built at the studio. There should be ready in a couple of weeks. That's number one, announcement. Number two, I'm going to have my own logo and maybe some girls to behind me when we go to the studio.
Dude, let me tell you something.
And I'm not joking.
I know you're not
joking. If you
joking.
want to audition, we're going to have auditions for the right girls, and they're going to feed me, and they're going to give me drinks and shit.
Have you ever seen when Johnny Drama finally gets his love interest in Entourage, and he has all the 29 girls come in and they do the kissing scenes? None of these girls, they're all models. They can't act. That's literally what this is. It's no, I need different girls in here. We're having auditions, all right? No, these girls aren't working. We need new people in here.
I think that I like this idea, and honestly, you could probably make this a show. I like the idea about the girl assistant thing. However, I think the real kicker here is where we can make the show even better. Is Shamako comes in and he has to pick the girl for you. For you. You don't get to choose. So you can try to convince him. You try to convince him, but he'd be like, no, Chris, this one's here for the wrong intentions. Okay. This one's after your heart right here. And Shamako is the love doctor, for being honest. So, I mean, he is. You bring Shamako in as a judge. Shamako will also, new set day, new studio day. I don't really care about the girls, but we will have Shamako either lead us off with the national anthem or like Texas Pledge, or him sing a song.
I like that.
To get the new, like Chris in the new studio.
Yeah.
And also, I'm not going to have him actually behind me dancing and stupid like that. That's inappropriate. But I would do that.
He's just backtracking because his wife might watch
no, I don't care
the
with that. I mean,
in
my days, dancing girls in the bus was like 1,000 of them. But here we go. The bottom line, and it was all a fun thing. It wasn't this.
Oh yeah.
It was all fun. Okay, but real quick, the dancing girls around us was like normal. Okay, but what I will say is, I want her to wait on me a la Vegas style. I want her to bring me my drink, pick up my old one, and just kind of like take care of the table and stuff like that. So bring my jewelry.
So like a cocktail
waitress.
waitress.
Change jewelry. I wanted to bring the jewelry case.
Yeah. So basically, we need a Vegas cocktail waitress for the studio. I actually like that idea.
Yeah.
As long as you have a bar.
She will wear
bring Turner's Miller Lights.
But this is the branding difference. She will not wear the podcast logo you guys have. She will wear the Big Dog Productions
That's
logo.
fine as long as she brings me a Miller Lite. I don't care what she wears. She could be dressed as a. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Last thing, hold on real quick. We want to know in the comment section below what you guys would prefer. We're going to do a giveaway soon, and it's either going to be a Victor Wembanyama Spurs jersey, or it's going to be a day spent with Chris Leak watching football in the big screen. Turner had the idea yesterday.
$10,000 value.
$10,000 value. You get a bag of Skinny Pop popcorn and 2 Diet Pepsis. Maybe 1 mini.
10 questions.
10 questions.
About life.
10 about life. You get a 10.
I'm the number one consultant in the state. Go ahead.
Yes.
You get a little 10-ounce HEB Coke Zero, and you get to watch football on the 5 screens on YouTube TV all day for NFL on Sunday.
And there's life coaching. You can talk about girls. God, do I know about that? Your friends having issues. Your sports,
your friend,
your betting, your ideas, pick quarterbacks, pick sports guys, real estate, law.
I think you get 10 questions about life. We'll say that. And then unlimited questions about quarterback play, because you are the quarterback guru.
I've never picked one that has not started in the NFL.
I mean, look at your guy, Sammy Howell, leading the league.
Who's the guy in New York right now that said he could play?
DeVito.
Did he throw a touchdown yesterday?
Oh, he threw a touchdown. Yeah,
His
they're really
parents
good.
watching.
I'd like to say, my dad said the same exact thing. I was thinking about this in the car when I was getting my lunch today. My dad said the same exact thing that he said about Jalen Hurts. He said about Carson Wentz, and I said, just wait. Carson Wentz had that
MVP
season
next year.
Carson had that.
MVP.
Carson, what he never won.
MVP.
He never won the MVP.
Well, until he got hurt. MVP.
But he didn't win the
11
MVP.
and 1.
My point is.
Oh, that is true.
My point is, the year he was playing good, my dad jumped on the bandwagon and said, "Oh my God, he's so good." And I said, "No, you didn't." And I said, "Just wait." Just wait. And what happened? He is out of the league in 5 years, like I predicted. Thank you.
You said next year.
Actually, I'd like to correct you. He's the backup in L.A. He's back.
He just got back. Okay, yeah. Good for him.
Yep, he's backing up Matthew Stafford.
Good for him.
I got to go make a ton of money today. I just lost $550 the first 10 minutes of this podcast.
No, you did not.
Yes, I did.
Maybe 1,000.
Okay.
Shamako didn't he drop you already?
No, he didn't drop me. He's texted me a while ago.
Is that a game worn Cowboys? That was
I was at this Super
Were you
Bowl in
really?
Pasadena,
That's the year I was born.
1990.
I'll
no,
see it.
is
92, baby.
92,
Yeah.
I was there
Sweet.
in Pasadena at the Super Bowl, buddy, with my
God.
bookie. I mean, not my bookie, the guy that got me tickets for everything.
Hold on,
What do
I
you
got
call
a
that
question.
guy?
Why does
That's
it
a
say,
ticket scalper?
Hold on, I got
Like,
a question.
what's his
Why
name
does it say
in-
1992 champs and then it says January 31st, 1993?
Well, they were the I don't know. They shouldn't have said that. 92 champs. I don't know why.
This was listen.
92 season.
This was unlicensed gear that your dad
No,
bought
this was
from.
on the-
This is from China where
No.
they messed this print up.
I think I bought that outside.
Hey, you want to know a funny story? I was going to go back to the Jim Kelly deal, and we can cut this if it's over the line. But
No, it's
there's
not.
a hilarious.
Nothing's
meme.
over the line
There's
here.
a hilarious meme of this kid, that is obviously less fortunate somewhere in like some third world country, and the reporter's talking to him and going, "Well, Tom Brady is the best quarterback of all time." And the kid goes, "What the hell are you talking about? Jim Kelly won 4 Super Bowls in a row in the 90s because they get all the throwaway shirts sent over there." It was the funniest damn thing I ever read in my entire life. Like, bitch, you crazy. Jim Kelly won 4 straight Super Bowls.
But I will say this about Jim Kelly: he was a damn unbelievable quarterback. Number one.
Till the Super Bowls.
Doesn't matter.
He was a mean piece of shit,
number
too,
two-
wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He's a
Number
prick.
two, Name any team that went to 4 Super Bowls.
That's what I was saying. You were dogging on him.
Oh well, no. Just because as far as like the team in Merv Levy,
Thurman
what's his name?
Thurman
Stan
Thomas was the
incredible
running back.
The wide receiver,
no one
BB.
will ever go to 4 Super Bowls in a row ever.
Andre Reed, receiver, right?
but
Thurman Thomas.
Yeah, but I'm saying like
What was it,
Marv
Joe?
Levy. Marv Levy.
Marv Levy.
What's that?
Joe Beebe, the guy who ran down Leon Lett, wasn't that him?
Yeah.
I can't remember his first name. It might not be Joe.
All right. Finish up, y'all. Make it quick. Keep the topics rolling. Don't be long on each topic.
I get the fuck out of here.
No, sure. No.
All right, so speed round in the NFL, just me and you now that my dad is out of here, and we'll go. We'll start with number 1. Okay, who is your NFL MVP right now? Number 1 and number 2. Do that.
Well,
You can
I
say
almost,
who yours
I almost
is.
don't even want to do number 2. I think Tyreek Hill,
Yeah.
especially if he breaks the records, the MVP.
Yep.
And I think he probably will, unless something happens, he gets banged up or hurt. Like he should get it.
Yep.
With that style of offense. So, especially because there's no one else that's super, super impressive or anything that's no quarterbacks just putting up absurd numbers. So
Right.
I think that he needs to get it. My number 2. It just seems like it's a quarterback carousel who's been playing the best lately. But you made a good argument for Dak Prescott. I mean, lately he's been really, really good if he keeps that up. Because Jalen's numbers haven't been very good the last 2-3 games. So
Even the whole season, he's got 18 touchdowns and 10
I
picks.
remember looking at it a couple weeks ago, like who the favorites were and all that. But it's like I would think that you would have to put Tyreek Hill number 1, and then maybe. I mean, I know that I was actually shocked. I was playing Josh Allen in fantasy football in one of the leagues, and he scored like 46 points in a normal league, and it was like he had 300 and something yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and like 100 yards and 2 touchdowns rushing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's thrown a ton of picks and stuff, but it's interesting. The quarterback, it's going to be whoever the hot quarterback is, week to week. But I think Tyreek Hill deserves MVP.
No, I think you're right. It's funny because you look at the numbers, and Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts' numbers are almost the exact same, and one's not even considered in the Super Bowl race.
Yeah.
Like, if you take away and I know people will probably call me a Jalen Hurts hater and an Eagles hater. If you take away the tush push, what are his numbers? I mean, he literally has 25 rushing touchdowns on the tush push the last 3 seasons. It's a joke.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's wild. And so he literally just inflates his stats. 3 of his touchdowns in the Super Bowl were tush pushes. So that's an illegal play for the majority of the life of the NFL. So he's basically benefiting off of just this play that's going to probably be illegal in a year. That's been illegal for 2 years or whatever, or 3 years.
It's weird. So when they make something illegal, do you know if it's just the owner straight up voting on it?
It's a good question. I believe
Because
that's
if
what
it's
it
the
is.
owner straight up voting on it, it's definitely going to get banned because no one else can do it as well as the Eagles. So if you're the other 30 owners, you're like, fuck yeah, we want that play
Right.
out of here.
And-
we can't stop it. And even if one other team figures out how to do it well, like there's 29 other teams that
Right.
can't do it. So why? But that's my argument to it, because if it goes through like actual like arbitration, or if it's the players and it's a joint deal, the argument that Sirianni does have, I agree that it's stupid and I don't like it personally. But the argument that he does have is, if it was just fucking easy, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, that's his argument, and it makes a lot of sense. But you're right. I mean, for the majority of the NFL, like that I've known, you couldn't carry or push anybody, you know, whatever they do. Like, you can't.
My argument would be this. You took away, I understand it's just one team doing it, right? But you took away the extra point because there was no competitiveness to that play, right? So you moved it back to the 30 whatever to make it, the competition committee did that. How could you not look at that play, even if it is one team, and say there is no this advantage that you have competition-wise? That's not what we want in the NFL. We want an equal playing field competition-wise. Like, everybody's having to compete the same way. To me, yeah, I get it. That one team is the only team who can do it well, but it's just like, I just don't know how you're going to say you. My thing is, they changed the rule to this. It's not like this has been there forever and now one team can do it. So you change the rule to this. You have one team exploiting the rule. It's the same idea as like they included the pass interference in review and took it away in a year. That's what this should be. It should have gone away last year, but
I mean, I agree. I don't necessarily like it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't like the Eagles scoring every time they do it, or only one team being able to do it. It's definitely a competitive advantage for them.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. Yeah, the extra. I'm definitely glad they moved the extra point. That was a good rule.
Yeah.
I mean, I would even like to see almost no. I could almost make the argument it'd be more fun to watch. I'm not saying put a 3-point play in like the NFL, but if you just did a 1-point try from the 2 and then a 2-point try from the 5, I think that would be fun to mix it up rather than just, because those guys still make those extra points. I don't know what the numbers are, but like 96%, 97, right?
Yeah,
like that.
It's pretty darn high.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll say real quick on the MVP argument. Funny enough, I have the exact same thing. I have Tyreek Hill number 1. He's got 1,324 yards and 10 touchdowns. He's on pace to shatter the all-time record, go over 2,000 yards for the first time in NFL history by a receiver. He's the sole reason, in my opinion, the Dolphins are what they are. If you take Tyreek Hill off this team, I think this isn't wild to say, I don't think. If you take Tyreek Hill off the Dolphins, I think they have 4 less wins. I think they're a 4-win team without. I think he changes the offense that
Probably
much.
at least 3 wins.
At least 3. He's that dynamic. I have Dak Prescott second. Although I will say, if Dak plays bad, like you said, if Dak plays bad in the next couple games against some decent teams, not that the Seahawks are great next week, but against the Eagles, he plays bad, then I'll change.
And I'll revisit it real quick. I will say this: I like the Dak. He's playing well, but I would, even though he's thrown all the picks, and just thinking about this quickly, I would probably take Josh Allen as my number 2 MVP, because when you really think about it, think about how worthless the Bills would be without Josh Allen.
Dude, I said
that would
this,
be horrible. The defense the defense is playing. Obviously, there's injuries. I think you did. Yeah, I remember you touching on this. Like, they're one quarterback away from being like not good at all.
Remember I said
Yeah.
compare them to the Raiders. If you besides Jimmy Garoppolo and Josh Allen, they're the same team.
It's true. Yeah, because the Raiders defense is probably about the same right now. And then obviously, you have Adams and you have Diggs and yada yada yada. But it really is like, if you think about Buffalo, and I know they have 6 wins, and people will be like, well, yeah, but he didn't take care of the ball. Like, I get it. Like, you probably win that Jets game with maybe a more conservative quarterback, but then they're going to lose a lot of these games without him.
They're going to lose a lot of games.
Like, if they, like, for instance, like you said, you put Garoppolo on there, they got 2 or 3 wins. So
I like to have debate sometimes about things, but it's funny because we really do think very similar, because in my writing of this, I was thinking about who I would put as my MVP, and I was debating between 2 guys for number 3, and it was Josh Allen, and then my other one was a wild one, which is actually Trent Williams, which they never do. But the offensive lineman for the 49ers, I think he's the difference of them being literally the best team in football and like maybe 3rd or 4th in the NFC.
And you could even make an argument that, like, I mean, obviously that team is going to be good, whoever the running back is, because their offensive line's pretty good. But you put McCaffrey at
100%
3
you
too,
could.
yeah.
I think he's kind of fallen off statistically the last couple weeks, so that he's gone out of the race. But I think the first 5 or 6 weeks when they were undefeated, he was sure the favorite.
I think that might be slightly by you could tell me because you look at the stats more than me, But I
by
think
design.
that Shanahan's smarting up a little bit and not giving the ball fucking 90 times a game. And I don't know if that's true, but I would assume that maybe he's getting a little, because I feel like I've seen Mitchell back in there a little bit more than he was
and he's definitely
early
been,
in the year.
And he's definitely been more banged up lately,
Yeah.
comparatively. Like, and you look at it, I think running wise, he's similar in terms of touches, but they're throwing the ball to him a little bit less.
And if
he's
I was
playing a smaller snap
and if I was the
percentage.
Niners, to be honest, like obviously you're trying to beat the Eagles here. You're trying to get that tiebreaker, and obviously you want that 1 seed. If they do go to Philly and lose, weirdly enough, I know they got to win the division. They'll end up beating the Seahawks.
Yeah.
But weirdly enough, I'm almost closing up shop and trying to get everybody healthy
Yep,
for the playoffs.
100%.
There's no reason. It's not like your home field's that big of a home field advantage.
Exactly.
I mean, you just got to get healthy. If you do win the game, you got to go for it because the Cowboys could easily beat the Eagles, and then now you're in the driver's seat. But
Right.
interesting there with McCaffrey's workload.
Completely agree. And we've had that conversation a couple times here on the podcast. Number 2, and we touched on this a little bit, so we'll go through this one kind of quickly. Steelers win again. This is the first time all season they actually outgained their opponent. Outgained the Cleveland Browns by almost 200 yards yesterday. They finally...
Bengals, yeah.
I'm sorry, the Bengals.
It's all right. Yeah, I know what you meant.
And Steelers now 7-4. We mentioned this earlier. They're actually the top wild cards team right now. They're tied with the Browns, 7-4. You have Tomlin coming out after the game saying, "Me and Kenny Pickett are winners." That was what he said in his press conference. Did the Steelers make the playoffs?
We were talking about this earlier and back and forth. I at this point think that just with the magic they always have, I think that they will get a playoff spot, and I think the Browns are going to be the team that's out.
Probably
I
right.
think especially with that head-to-head win right here, right? Because they own the tiebreaker, or did they split?
They split it, but I'm assuming I know it comes down to I think it's divisional record after that, and then it's conference record. That would be it. So right now the Steelers have the tiebreaker, but I don't know overall because I know if I just looked at it and they were in the 5th spot and the Browns were in the 6th, that also they could be tied right now. I don't know.
I just think that the Browns, I know that defense has been pretty darn good all year. Don't get me wrong, I don't love Pickett, but I just think at this point, and how the Steelers always manage to do it and the Browns always fuck something up, that we're going to go back to that. I think the Steelers will end up tied with the tiebreaker or a game up, and they'll get in front of them. I don't think both of them make it, though. I think definitely one of them will end up out. Texans are playing good. Like you said, Texans and Broncos this week is a big matchup. So
yeah, that's a huge matchup. Kind of like 5 teams, I think, 5 or 6 teams if you include the Bills fighting for 3 spots. I think we both kind of agree the Colts aren't going to get in.
That's the thing, though. I don't think the Colts are going to get in, but I have to assume that Buffalo's going to find a way to get in. But
man, I thought they were until they lost yesterday.
If they don't, McDermott's for sure gone. So
it's funny.
Might work out long run for him better.
I was listening to it might. No, actually, you're right. I was listening to a show. I think it's there was an old show called Carlin and Canty on ESPN. I can't remember which one of them still has the show. It's them and Joe Fortenbaum. But they were talking after Buffalo lost to a couple weeks ago. I forget who they lost to, the Broncos. He was saying the odds of the Bills to make the playoffs after that game, it was I think they were plus 180 to make the playoffs and minus 250 to miss it. And he was talking about how he would take them to miss the playoffs. And I was thinking, man, plus 150 to make the playoffs. And they were, at the time, I think they were 5-4 or something like that. It just didn't make sense. But looking at it now, I actually think they might miss it. I don't know. And you look at the schedule, the Browns and the Steelers have 2 of the easiest schedules in the AFC remaining. It wouldn't shock me if it was Browns, Steelers, Texans. It wouldn't shock me if it was Browns, Texans, Broncos. It wouldn't shock me if it was Steelers, Texans, Broncos. There's a lot of combinations there. I kind of think the Bills miss it. I kind of think the Colts miss it. And I think it comes down to one of those last couple teams. But I think I'm going to say that they don't get in. Moving on real quick. We touched a little bit, I think, on this. I can't remember, but Chargers lose third. Actually, we didn't touch on this. Chargers lose 3rd straight. They fall to 4-7 after a 10-win season last year. Who is to blame for this? Staley or Kellen Moore? Who needs to go? Both of them. Obviously, the O-line has been horrible. Herbert's got to play better anyway, but there's a lot of issues there. What's the biggest one?
I don't know. It's a dumpster fire at this point. I think that I think that both. At the end of the season, if I'm the owner, I probably just clean house and start over.
I agree.
And give Herbert a fresh start with someone that, he gels with, that's a offensive guy, and then, bring in a good defensive coordinator. But I think when you have a good quarterback, it's helpful to have a, offensive guy as your head coach looking out for number one in your franchise there. Staley, to me, like, when I heard that, if you would have told me, gun to my head, you have to pick the coach that got fired this morning, and I would not have guessed Frank Wright. I would have guessed Brandon Staley. They're 4-7 now?
4-7.
Yeah, I mean,
after a 10-win season, and he blew a 28-point or 27-point playoff lead last year.
Exactly, and that goes into it too. You blow that last year, and honestly, I feel like that's almost momentum from that game, just like still going. They're just in a funk, can't get out of it. Obviously, without Mike Williams, that hurts. I get all that, but that offense, and Kellen Moore is just as responsible. I mean, they turn over the ball. They're sloppy. You made a good point last night. He never adjusts to anything.
Yep.
He's running these screens that don't work. Offensive linemen aren't getting out there to their blocks. I mean, the Ravens are just reading It was like
it literally
was like
looked,
they knew they put their plays
right.
almost.
I would say we were saying that last night. It literally looked like the Ravens knew the play as the ball was being snapped. They would call a screen and they wouldn't even rush with the open lane to the quarterback. They'd run straight to the running back. I mean, it was so obvious.
I think at this point, they may just keep, I guess they're at this point, right? They're going to keep him till the end of the year.
Yeah.
What I would do, and it honestly gives you an excuse I would fire him. I would make Kellen Moore the active head coach, not because I think he deserves it, but you just see what happens. Your season's over.
Right.
Your season's over. See
over.
how him and Herbert gel as him the head coach, and see if things get better, and maybe you can give him, a short-term deal or something. I don't know. I would just clean house there, though. I'm also shocked that, we may be getting there. I wish I don't know the list, but, I'm absolutely shocked Ron Rivera is still there.
Unreal.
Apparently, the owner, there's rumors that the owner is definitely letting him go at the end of the year, but it makes zero sense to me. Just fire him now, put Eric Bieniemy in charge, and see how things go. Because otherwise, you're more than likely going to hire Bieniemy. And then give them this trial run now. Why wait till next year?
And I think we were ahead on this. You mentioned that exact thing 3 weeks ago on the podcast. We said, you said the same thing. You said, if I were them, I think it was right before the trade deadline. They gave away Chase Young and Sweat. And it's like, okay, if you're going to trade everybody away and you're basically tanking on the season, which is what's happening. They have 4 wins right now. At this point, why keep Rivera? I mean, I understand, he's a good guy. He's very well liked, and you don't want to fire somebody like that in the middle of the season. But you have to just understand, I think even he would understand at this point, look, you've just underperformed ever since you've been here. And I understand you had the whole issue with Dan Snyder, and it was a bad whole situation. But look, unless in some miraculous way you're planning on keeping this guy, then there's no point.
And apparently they're not. And that's the thing. I think it's almost just a courtesy at this point, because he's a good guy. And I kind of figured that is what was going on when I heard they're going to let him do it at the end of the year. But if I'm the owner, I would probably call him in and say, hey, look, man, I just want to be completely honest with you. We're going to let you go at the end of the season. You've earned the right to coach these guys to the end of the season. And if you want that privilege, by all means, do it. But if you would like to resign, you can do that too on your own terms, whatever. But, at the end of the season, no matter what happens these last few games, they're going to move in a different direction. And like you said, he's been around the business enough. He played professional football. He knows, that his time's up there. So I think that, they're just paying him the professional courtesy.
They definitely are, and I get that he is a good guy and he's well liked, but he's just not the guy. He's really not an NFL coach anymore, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
That ship has sailed. He did a great job that couple years with the Panthers and went to the Super Bowl.
And he'll go get another defensive coordinator job for 5 years somewhere. Someone will give him something, whatever.
No doubt. I could see analyst for a year back to a DC in a year, right? But we'll move on real quick. A couple more quick topics. So real quick. Cardinals are 2-10. They are currently sitting in. If the season ended today, they would draft second overall behind just the Carolina Panthers, who, at this point probably aren't taking a quarterback. I know they had the one pick last year and traded up to get Bryce Young. Obviously, that's not looked that great, but it's hard to tell with this organization what he actually is. But essentially, you're going to have if you end in this spot, you're going to have your choice at quarterback, right? is this a team who, what do you think will they do, and what do you think should they do in terms of Kyler Murray? In my opinion, I trade him now, or maybe not now, maybe at the end of the season because the trade deadline's up. But I trade him, I get rid of him, and I try to get a pick. I don't even know why they brought him back in the first place. I don't know if they're bringing him back to get his stock up so that they can trade him for more, or if they legitimately are just like, this is our guy. But would you trade him? What do you think they should do?
They're 150% trading him, and you called it. The only reason he's back right now, and like you said, what are they the other day? Like, what the hell are they trying to score? All they're trying to do is pad his numbers. That's all they're trying to do.
Right.
And someone will trade for him because, what's going to happen is the Cardinals are going to eat a lot of that contract. There's going to be something, cap hit. They'll work something out. But, I was thinking about where he would go the other day. And, I don't know how long Kirk Cousins is going to be out. But imagine a top-end Kyler Murray running around with Justin Jefferson and Addison in that offense. I mean, that could be crazy. I don't know if he's back to his old self, but I'm talking about, when he's playing at a top end, and I would be the last person to actually pick up that contract because I have zero faith in the guy. But if you can get him for cheap and you're a team like the Vikings who are waiting for Kirk Cousins to come back and get healthy or something like that, that could work out. And, next thing you know, top end, get yourself in a deep playoff run because that offense, the one thing that's missing from the Vikings offense is obviously a run game. They don't run the ball very well. But they get 500 yards sometimes a game in offense, and like almost 400 of that through the air, not having to worry about a quarterback running the ball, okay? Like no one has ever spied on Kirk Cousins their entire life. You bring 4, you don't have to worry about anybody running. Now you have to worry about someone running. If you bring someone Kyler Murray in, they would be impossible to stop. You would never be able to stop them. So that would be an interesting spot for him to land. But yeah, like you said, Cardinals are absolutely tanking. I would find it, I find it very interesting to see what the Panthers are going to do. I'm not saying you have to give up on Bryce Young. I'm not saying that. But and the analytics and people talking about drafts and stuff would tell you.
Take another one.
If you are that sold and you think Caleb Williams is that guy, that's what you think, you absolutely draft him number 1 because it's so important to get a franchise quarterback. And then if he beats out Bryce Young for the spot, you'd still probably have a lot of suitors a year later for Bryce Young that are like, oh, we think this guy could be really good. He's a number 1 pick. And I know that sounds crazy and no one's done that, but I think more and more you're going to see that in the NFL where it's like it's all about getting a franchise guy, and that's the only thing that matters.
Well,
because without it, you can't. There's nothing you can do.
Right, and this Panthers owner is that type of guy who would just spend money until he wins and would just be like, well, we got to get a quarterback. We're going to keep drafting one until we hit one. But I will say this: it's a tough decision because if I'm the Panthers, I look at the fact that I'm watching Bryce Young yesterday, and it's bad. It's really bad. But again, it is very hard to evaluate when you have no offensive line. You have really no weapons. I mean, you have Adam Thielen is
his
your best
top
receiver.
weapon, yeah.
You don't have a tight end. You don't really have a running back. Miles Sanders behind a bad offensive line isn't much. It's like what really. It's hard to evaluate him on that. Like put him with a top 15 offensive line, and you have a better idea. So it's like, okay, if we really thought Bryce Young was the guy, and now we're questioning it, is it because we're so bad elsewhere? It's hard to tell. Do we just try to build around him and risk it? And that's what most teams would do, is let's go get some offensive linemen. Let's take the best offensive linemen in the draft. Let's start trading and getting a couple pieces around him. Let's get some wide receivers, some young wide receivers. Or do we just go for the quarterback and let the rest of it work itself out? I'm more inclined, I agree, franchise quarterback's important. I'm more inclined to think about the offensive line before even quarterback, because I just feel like no matter what, if you have a horrific offensive line, nothing else matters. And so I completely agree with you. Like I would not fault them at all. I'd actually kind of commend them if they did go draft him. My issue is I'm honestly not that sold on Caleb Williams after what I've seen this year. And number 2, I thought Drake May was better than he is. From what I've seen this year, he's not. So to me, I don't know that either of those guys comes in and with what they've got is any better than Bryce Young.
No, and I 100% agree. If it's me in that spot, unless it's, and I know this is our guy, your dad hates him, but if it's Andrew Luck coming out,
Oh, yeah.
I'm drafting Andrew Luck.
100%.
Where it's like, you know that this guy, like,
100%.
bona fide,
Right.
number one, this is
Yes.
a franchise quarterback. You do it.
Yeah.
Here, I'm trading down.
Right.
I'm improving the offensive line.
Right.
Ideally, there's going to be a team that wants to trade up that's going to give you a first this year, a second this year, a first the next year. And
That's
it's
basically what
you
they
can build
did.
around it.
That's
Yeah.
basically what they did.
And
Yeah.
that's what you need to get those picks back. And because I'm actually now he does look bad back there. We've talked about it, but the thing about it is, like you said, Adam Thielen right now at best is a wide receiver 2 on some of these teams.
Right.
I mean, look at his stats at the end of the games. Like he was targeted 14 times
It's
and had like
wild.
9 catches for 130 yards, and I'm like, dude, they must have nobody else on
Jonathan
that team.
Mingo is their number 2
Yeah,
receiver. It's
and
bad.
they can't run the ball because
real bad.
they're not honoring the run at all. So it's like he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. So I definitely would not give up on him yet.
Right.
I was just making the point where if it was like a Luck or someone that you were like, hey,
I
this
agree.
is a franchise guy
Right.
no matter what, you draft them and then you sort the rest out later.
No, you're
but
dead
with
right.
Caleb Williams, I know some people are like, this guy, and he may turn out to be that.
Right.
But I just don't think it's a bona fide, like 100%, this guy's going to be a Pro Bowler for the next 10 years.
I don't even think it's any higher than you thought on Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud. Like at the beginning of the year, I might have said yes, but I've never been sold on Caleb Williams, and this year proved it to me.
I heard someone say, I don't know if it was Stephen A. Smith or some dumbass on ESPN. It was like scrolling through my phone and I saw the take. It was like the Pittsburgh Steelers need to trade Kenny Pickett, T.J. Watt, and 4 first round. Like,
Oh my God.
George Pickens and 3 first round picks to go get Caleb Williams. And I'm like, the Steelers have shown that they can. This team can win with nobody. It's like
Matt Leinart could be the quarterback.
Yeah, that's the last thing they're gonna do. Tomlin would over his dead body would he give up those drafts?
No.
He's like, he's fine. He's comfortable winning the amount of games. I get what they're saying. Like you're never gonna win a Super Bowl with this bunch.
And I agree
get
with
that.
that.
I get it.
But I'm never.
But I
trading
just
that.
you don't do that
You're not
unless
blowing
you
your franchise
unless
up.
you just know that
Right.
and you really
I don't
never
even
do.
know. Even if you know, you give it that much up.
That's what I'm saying. Think about being a franchise and giving up everything to get Andrew Luck. And Andrew Luck, whatever, 6-7 years in his career, I don't know what it was,
Retires.
just said, you know what? I don't want to play football anymore.
And really,
And it could happen at any moment.
really,
and
what-
Caleb Williams would be the kind of guy that would be like,
100%.
oh, I made my money. I don't want to play anymore.
And Andrew Luck, I know there were some personal things going on, and his wife, he was dedicating so much time, and he loved his wife, and I know they were having a rough time. And I think that was part of it. What kind of came out later, but I also think a lot of it was mentally he was worn down from all the injuries. Physically, he was worn down from all the toll because when they drafted him, they essentially were so bad that he was carrying a team that was 2-14 the year before with the worst offensive line in football, carrying them to the playoffs, taking more hits than any other quarterback ever did. I mean, literally, I think the Colts ruined him. If he goes to a better team, that never happened. So trading away your team like that to do it would be like the kiss of death for that quarterback. It'd be like putting any quarterback right now on the Panthers. You're just not going to win, no matter what you have.
Obviously, that was because Luck's a little bit. He's older than Deshaun Watson by what, like 2 or 3 years, maybe.
Couple years.
The
No, maybe
Texans
more than that. I think
Texans should
4 years.
The Texans should have done everything to draft Andrew Luck. It was a hometown kid. I mean, like that. You should have given up like your whole franchise to get him, and he would have been in Houston all this time and whatever. But yeah, anyway, it's an interesting.
6 years older. He's 34.
Oh damn! I didn't
and
realize
Deshaun
he
is
was that
28.
much older.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But yeah, who was the Texans quarterback even at that time?
Probably Matt Schaub at that time.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And they were like, wild card team back in those days, so probably couldn't do anything about
Right.
it. But yeah, it's an interesting deal for the Panthers and whatever, but the Cardinals are definitely just trying to lose everything they can and lose every game they can, but make Kyler Murray throw for a lot of yards and
Yes.
look healthy again.
Last one, real quick. Question for you. So the Eagles have one loss. We've kind of touched on a lot of these teams today. There are 7 teams right now in the NFL that currently have 3 losses. They're either 8-3 or 9-3. Tell me who you think the best, and I'm going to give you them. Tell me who you think the best 3-loss team is right now at this current moment. In the NFC, you have the Cowboys 8-3, the Niners 8-3, and the Lions 8-3. In the AFC, you have the Jags 8-3, the Chiefs 8-3, the Dolphins 8-3, and the Ravens 9-3.
I mean, I would, out of that group, I'd say the Cowboys are 49ers, but you have to put the 49ers there just because the head-to-head, they beat the shit out of them.
Agreed.
Now, I mean, I don't know if that happens again, but right now, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
And they're starting to look good again, so, I mean, they seem to be, it seems like, I saw him make a couple plays. I don't know if he's getting, but it seemed like Debo looks a little bit healthier than he has.
He scored a touchdown, I think.
Yeah, he looks a little bit healthier than he has, but apparently he's been playing with injuries or whatever, and he looks healthier.
Who would you take to win the AFC right now between the Jags, Ravens, Chiefs, and Dolphins? The Chiefs have not looked very good lately.
Man, I hate to say it, but I would say, I just think that the Chiefs find a way in the playoffs to win the game, even with those horrible receivers. It's either going to be them or the who you said.
So it's Jags, Ravens, Chiefs, Dolphins are each atop the divisions.
The Jags are. Listen, I like to be a big Jags lover because your dad loves the Jags.
They're not for real.
Those are my first team back when I was a youngster. Yeah. But no, it's
real quick. Okay.
Maybe the Ravens. I mean, the thing about the Ravens, dude, I
blow
don't
leads.
trust Lamar Jackson.
No.
When the weather gets cold, he starts dropping the ball. I mean, it's that simple.
He drops the ball in 80-degree weather.
I know. He the turnovers with him are what just kill me. The Chiefs, look, we talked about it. The receivers, I don't think the Chiefs beat in the Super Bowl. I don't think they're beating any of the teams coming out of the NFC.
Yeah.
We've talked about this. But going through those playoffs, and now with Burrow gone, who's Mahomes' kryptonite, I just don't see the Dolphins are gimmicky. The Jags aren't going to beat them in a playoff game. The only team you're down to into that is, I mean, honestly, if we're talking about if they make the playoffs, I think the team that has the best chance of beating them is the damn Bills.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I just don't see the Ravens beating them. I just don't.
It's real interesting because everybody was talking about the last couple years how good the AFC was. Reality, I think, is the top three teams in the NFC are all better than the best team in the AFC. You have the Cowboys, Niners. Right now, Cowboys, Niners, Eagles, I think are better than the Chiefs, Dolphins, Jags, Ravens, Bills, everybody in the AFC. There's nobody in that conference better. My opinion, I agree. All of those teams are flaws. Chiefs don't have receivers, right? Dolphins, gimmick, can't beat good teams. Ravens have a good defense, don't trust Lamar in the playoffs. And the Jaguars, no way they've ever proven that they're going to do anything. There's no consistency. Trevor Lawrence is bad. 1 game, good, 2 games.
I mean, when you legitimately look at it on paper and take the thoughts out of it, it's like the Ravens probably.
The best.
I'm sure the analytics and everything will tell you that the Ravens are the best.
It's just Lamar in the playoffs.
I mean, he just has the tendency to drop back on one play and just run around for 30 yards and drop the ball. Just one massive turnover that.
Yep.
He just gets caught up trying to make the big play instead of, taking what the defense gives him.
It'll be real interesting to see.
If Mark Andrews doesn't come back, they have to have him back for the playoffs.
I think he's going to come back for the playoffs at least, if not the very end of the regular season. But it'll be very interesting to me to see if the Chiefs don't get home field advantage, can they win? Because they've had it pretty much the last couple years. I think maybe one year the Bengals had it, but I think the Chiefs had it last year. The Chiefs did have it last year. And so if that road goes through, say, Baltimore or, say, Miami, which is possible given those two teams' schedules, can the Chiefs win a road playoff game without wide receivers, with really Kelsey still good, but is he really great anymore? I mean, he's still really good, but he's a little bit – he seems to step slow. He seems to be getting kind of nicked up, game in and game out.
He's a celebrity now, man.
He's a celebrity now. It's kind of, I don't know. They've already won 2 Super Bowls. I just don't know.
Podcast host, celebrity.
That's right.
He's got bigger, better things in football going on. I would say no. I don't. That's the weird thing is, I don't know where they would have to go through, but it's funny because obviously they're not going to be playing a playoff game in Buffalo. But if Buffalo, I don't think they would go to Buffalo and win. Maybe they could go to Baltimore and win, and they could still probably beat the Dolphins.
Yeah, Dolphins are
matter,
too gimmicky.
But Baltimore, loud, cold. I mean, they could definitely lose that game.
That will be the most interesting thing. If the Ravens get the 1 seed and we see Chiefs Ravens in the AFC title game, then I think that's a good matchup because I think the home field might negate the Lamar Jackson factor. I just think it'll be even.
As long as Mark Andrews is back.
It'd be a
because
good game.
He has to have him.
Oh, if he's not healthy, the Chiefs will kill them.
Yeah.
But I think if you get him back, you're at home. I still think you're right. I still think the Chiefs win, but I think it's a much closer matchup. I think it's literally a pick 'em at that point, as opposed to the Chiefs being favored by a few points. But okay, we'll move quickly to some NFL picks for next week, and then we'll get out of here. NFL. Still got a good game.
We need
tonight.
to get your dad in here for his picks. In the
Yeah,
NFL.
we should have done
Next
that.
time we'll have to get him in here
Yeah.
to pick the games.
Yeah, we got to do that. We forgot to do it. Good Thursday night one. And we've got my Dallas Cowboys 8-3, undefeated at home at Arlington Stadium, or AT&T Stadium rather, in Arlington, Texas, taking on the 6-5 Seahawks. Seahawks been on a skid lately.
That's a
They're
pretty good
2-3 on the
Thursday night
road.
game.
It's a good game, and Dallas is a 8.5-point favorite.
I was gonna say Dallas by. I'll take Dallas by 2 touchdowns.
Dallas by 2 touchdowns. That's a good
14.
pick. I like that. I was going to say Dallas by. I'll say Dallas by 10. Dallas by 10. They cover and win the game. And I think Dak continues his hot streak. Moving on to Sunday. We've got a barn burner here. Colts, somehow, some way, 6-5, traveling to Tennessee, where the Titans, doesn't seem to matter who the quarterback is. They always tend to find a way to win at home. They did it again this last week against a bad Panthers team. Colts are 2.5-point favorites in Tennessee.
Yeah, this game just has the Colts are gonna find a way to lose the game.
100%.
I'll take the Titans by 6.
I'll take the Titans by a field goal. I completely agree. This is an outright upset for Tennessee, written all over it. Moving on, another great matchup here between a combined 6 win between these two teams. The Chargers, who have lost 3 straight, traveling to New England, who found a way to lose to Tommy DeVito and the Giants last week.
Well,
as
I will
4-point
say
favorites.
this: if Brandon Staley can manage to lose this game, I think he will get fired.
There's no
I think
question.
you have to, right?
You have to.
Okay, yeah.
There's no way.
That being said, the Patriots are so bad. I'll take the Chargers to win by a field goal, and it's going to be an ugly, ugly game. Like, we're talking, I'll go 16-13 final. I'll take the Chargers.
If the Chargers lose this game, if New England wins this game, I will buy a Mac Jones jersey and wear it in the podcast in the next couple of weeks.
Whoever starts, our Bailey Zappi.
Or Bailey Zappi. But I'm going to take the Chargers, and I think they win by a touchdown. I take them by 7. I just think if you can't – the Patriots keep somehow taking professional money every week, and I just don't understand it week in and out. I just don't get why
People
pros –
they think they're going to figure it out.
Well, I think they just think that it's they think, okay, this is the bottom of the market for the Patriots, right? Like, they're 3-point favorites against the worst team in football. Tommy DeVito's the worst quarterback in the NFL, and they still find a way to fucking lose.
This might be Billy just tanking as much as he can to get a quarterback.
Maybe
You never
so,
know.
because that's what they should do. They're 2-9. They're right there for a chance
Oh,
to have.
baby, I didn't realize that. 2-9.
Yeah, dude, they got they're in the third pick right now. If I were them, I would
Nice.
tank. Yeah, give me the Chargers by touchdown. Next one. Big game for the Saints. They dropped one to the Falcons last week. Now they're out on the outside looking in the playoff race. The Lions on a skid. They've played some bad teams, but they've struggled with those bad teams. The Lions are only a 4-point favorite on the road in New Orleans. Derek Carr's really struggled.
Yeah, Carr's been so bad. I'll take the Lions. I'm sure it'll be an ugly game. I'll say Lions by a field goal.
Yeah, I'm going to take the same thing. I'll take Lions by a field goal. Carr's so bad, he'll find a way to cost them.
Yeah,
even
and
though-
Olave might be out too. You got that
Oh,
concussion. at the
concussion.
end of
That's
the
right.
game.
I'll be in concussion protocol. Man, these games are brutal this week. I'm telling you, it's not getting much better as we're going down the list here. Falcons at the Jets.
Oh,
Falcons
goodness.
3-point favorites.
Jets by a field goal.
Oh man, I think you have to take the Jets here. This might be the actual bottom of the market for the Jets. Give me the Jets by 1, 21-20, and I don't know how they put up 21 points, but they'll find a way. That totals 34.5 in an NFL game. Cardinals at the Steelers. Cardinals are 5.5-point dogs.
Steelers by 3.
This
keep
is
calling field goals.
I know the Steelers. They should win this game. This is like one of the games they should win, and this is when they lose. So give me the Cardinals. This is my upset for the week. One of them. Give me the Cardinals to win this game by a field goal. And they're bad. They're really, really bad. But the last time they got absolutely smoked, they came back out and gave a good performance defensively. That doesn't mean they won, but I think the Steelers will get outgained again. That's not a prediction. That's very bold, but they'll lose. Dolphins at the Commanders.
This is going to be my. Well, I can't do it. Yeah, just give me the Dolphins. Give me the Dolphins by 7.
You wanted to take Sammy Howell, didn't you?
Yeah, Dolphins by 7.
Yeah.
High score. I bet this game. I'm going to call. Sammy's going to throw for 300, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks.
Yeah, you're probably right. 51 is the total.
Yeah, I'm going to say 30. 24-28 Dolphins.
Okay, 6-point win. I like it. I'm going to take the Dolphins by... The Dolphins find weird ways to cover these games, but yeah, the Commanders got smacked by the Cowboys last week. Give me the Dolphins, but only by a field goal. Broncos at the Texans. This is one of the better games of the week.
Yeah.
It's probably the most meaningful game of the week. The loser is going to be in a tough spot. The winner actually has an inside track to make the playoffs.
Texans on the last-minute field goal.
They are favored by 3.5. I don't know why. I understand. I think a lot of people are going to be on the Texans in this spot because C.J. Stroud has been so good, but the Broncos defense has been quietly really good, and the offense isn't making mistakes. Russell Wilson's playing better. I don't like how conservative Sean Payton is, but I'm going to take the Broncos by a field goal here. I think they're going to find a way to win it. Give me Denver. They're going to win six straight. Panthers at the Buccaneers. Buccaneers 4-7. Somehow only one game, I believe, outside of first place in the division.
Buccaneers by 10.
Yeah, Bucks by. Although teams do
After they
sometimes
fire their coach.
Yeah, fire their coach. Give me the Bucks by a
But
field
Frank
goal.
Wright is a likable guy.
He's a
dude.
likable
Everybody
guy.
likes him.
Yeah,
so I can't
agree.
imagine they're like, oh, thank God we got rid of him. I don't
Totally
think that's
agree.
the deal.
Totally agree. I take the Bucks by a field goal. Browns at the Rams.
Rams by 4.
Man, the Rams are a 5-point favorite here. I kind of like the Browns here. Give me the Browns by a field goal. I don't know why. I think the defense, I think everybody's going to look at the performance Stafford had last week against a bad Cardinals defense, but in reality, he's struggled in the last couple weeks. He's only thrown, going into last week, he had as many touchdowns as interceptions. 49ers, best game of the week. 49ers at the Eagles, 3:25 on Sunday. San Francisco, 2.5-point favorite. And the second we get off this podcast, I'm going to run to my book to bet the 49ers before it gets to 3.
I think that the 49ers, I mean, dude, it's going to be it's classic Eagles game, come down to the wire, but I think Jalen will turn it over one extra time, and the 49ers will win by 6.
I would actually say 49ers by 10. I just think the Eagles are due for a sneak.
Well, they're definitely due for a loss.
They should have lost the last 3 games. So
Yep.
give me the 49ers by 10. And that might be a little bit of a bold prediction. This game is a little bit better now, considering the Packers are playing slightly better, but we have the Chiefs traveling to Lambeau Field in Green Bay. Chiefs a 6.5-point favorite on Sunday Night Football.
I have a feeling this game's going to be close. I would say the Chiefs by call another field goal. Chiefs by 3.
Yeah, man, this is a toss-up.
I just don't see them like going over there and rolling. But I feel like they'll be able to make enough plays to beat the Packers. Without Jones.
I agree. I'm gonna say Chiefs by 7 only because I think the defense does enough. I don't believe the hype. Everybody's saying, Jordan Love's turning it around. He played 2 horrific defenses in a row.
Yeah.
He played the Chargers and then the Lions. So arguably the 2 worst pass defenses in football. Now
Chiefs will bring a lot of blitzes.
Yeah, and I see Jordan Love turning the ball over quite a bit. That's an enticing teaser leg right there to get the Chiefs to a pick 'em. I'll take the Chiefs by 7. Bengals at the Jaguars on Monday Night Football. This would have been a good matchup. Burrow and Lawrence rematch of the semifinal, but
I think Jags will actually win this one by about 10. I'd say 10.
Yeah.
I just don't think. I think Browning will turn the ball over, and the Bengals defense kind of sucks.
yeah, the Bengals defense sucks. It's in Jacksonville. Give me the Jags by 13. Jags by 13. I think it's a bad game. We got a lot of teams on bye this week. Bills, Bears, Raiders, Vikings, Giants, and Ravens all on bye this week. But that will do it for this episode of the Slobberknocker Sports Podcast. Thanks for tuning in and joining us for everything NFL and college football. Enjoy the conference championship games this week. They start on Friday night. Enjoy NFL, Cowboys, Seahawks Thursday night, and we've got a lot of NFL and college games, some college hoops getting into the swing of things here. NBA is getting into the middle of the season, so a lot of sports going on. Please like and subscribe to check out all of our content. Subscribe to my Instagram and our Instagram at SlobPod and at Dylan Leak, and my TikTok at Dylan Leak 21. I'll go ahead and put it on the screen below. We will be doing a jersey giveaway soon. I've been saying it for a while, but we're going to do it hopefully the first episode that we do in the new studio. We're going to do a Wembanyama Spurs giveaway jersey. and a Sunday with Mr. Leak.
Chris Leak, Big Papa football giveaway.
The giveaway, the $10,000 value. So,
yes. And that's modest. It's probably worth way more than that, he said.
It's probably worth, probably like 3 or 4 times that value. But it will be a very, very good little package there. And you'll have to subscribe, like, and comment on the video. So be aware, one of the next couple videos, I'll post it on Instagram and all social media. But thanks again for the support to our channel. Subscribers and comments help us a lot for our algorithm and YouTube. But have a great weekend and enjoy all things NFL and college football. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.